Hello, hi, hopefully you're seeing me. Eric, I think you're having a bit of trouble. I'm hoping that you may see me appear now. Can you see me? Brilliant. Okay, so happy days, happy Tuesday, everybody. So this live is all about confidence, being a confident facilitator, and the three things that confident facilitators do every time they are in a group, every time they facilitate a group. So I'll ask you, if I may, that if you're watching this live, that you pop #live in the comments, and if you're watching it as a replay, can you just stick #replay again in the comments, and then that just helps us to see how many people are watching them, and whether it's useful. Give us some feedback as well. Are you finding these lives useful, or are they just a bit of a pain in the bum? I don't know. Need your feedback. Okay, so I'm going to start with telling you who I am, maybe. I reckon you probably might know. I'm the one that kind of mills about in this group, in the Facebook group, and I'm co-founder of Memory Matters, and of course we exist, or Memory Matters exists, because we want to get CST to as many people as would benefit across the UK and beyond, and you, our amazing facilitators in this facilitator group, are helping us to do that. So big thank yous to that. Of course, we provide training. Most of you have been through it, some of you may not have. You can check that out later. Maybe I'll put it in the comments. But let's just crack on. Should we crack on? So the thing that facilitators do every single time, there are three things that confident facilitators do. Now, let's just talk about confidence for a minute. If we aren't confident when we facilitate a group, then it is, of course, picked up on by our beneficiaries. So, as an example, you know, if we are to come into the facilitation a little bit unsure and a little bit anxious, then you probably know, and you've probably felt this, that people with dementia will pick up on it. One of the things that I've talked about a lot is the fact that the amygdala, which is the part of the brain that is our emotional centre of our brain, is the one part of the brain in dementia that doesn't appear to be affected, and in some cases has even got bigger while the rest of the brain is shrinking. Why this is important is because, of course, feelings are more important than anything else when it comes to how we interact, and that is important also when we're bringing our feelings into that forum. So if we're not confident, if we're not happy, if we're a bit anxious, then the people in the group will definitely pick that up. So we need to work on that, and that's part of our job as a facilitator, is to work on our own confidence, work on our own stuff, if you like, because it doesn't need to be taken on by people with dementia. That being said, it's not easy, and it's certainly not easy when you first start out facilitating, when you're not sure. You're not sure if you're doing the right thing. There's a lot of things to remember, you know, all of that. And one of the things that I would say, so the number one thing is to be yourself, to turn up as the lovely you that you are, and know that you are completely lovely, and that human connection is more important than anything else. It's more important than the structure of your session. It's more important than the topic that you're doing. It is everything. Human connection, right there. So think about that as you go into a facilitation, that actually this is more about the connecting. The rest will come if we can get that bit right. So try not to be scared. If you are a bit scared, maybe share that and say, oh gosh, you know, if it's the first time you've facilitated, I would definitely be saying, you know what, I've not done this before, so you might have to help me out a little bit. You know, be vulnerable, be prepared to say, you know, I don't know it all, because that fits beautifully into the CST principles of how we sit alongside people and we discover together. What better way than to say, you know what, I'm facilitating and I've never done it before. I'd really like you to help me out a little bit. It's a perfect way to start. bring your personality. So when you are being yourself, it's about bringing your personality. Please don't watch other facilitators and think, I need to do it exactly like they're doing it. You never will be able to do it. So even in our own team, I can say, I have a way that I facilitate groups. It is totally different to how Sophie facilitates groups, or Annie, or Kate, or Clorinda, or Lynn. They're all different. Philippa is another one. It's just so different, because the most important thing is the personality. I want my facilitators to turn up as themselves, because that's how, again, we engage in that human connection. Otherwise, imagine if we were all exactly the same. Those groups would be incredibly boring. There will be things that come up in the news story that you might say, oh yes, I have an experience of that I'd like to share. Be you and bring your sense of fun. I always think CST is about being playful, and I like to think of it that we turn up in those groups like we are at a party, with our bestest friends, an afternoon party. What else is there to say about being yourself? Remember, it's about them. It's not about you. So as soon as we get caught up in the stuff around, oh God, I don't know if I'm going to do this right, and I'm not sure if this topic is going to work, or whether it's, when we start worrying, we're totally in our head and worrying about us. We're not focused on them. So really try and think about focusing on the individuals in your group. It's got nothing to do with us, as much as we might think that we have to get it perfect. We don't. Let's just check that everyone in the session is enjoying themselves, and that makes it much more easy. The other point that I always put forward is the idea of doing box breathing before you go into a facilitation as well. So if you are anxious about facilitating, you are not alone. Certainly when I first started out, I would be quite anxious and worrying about whether it would work or not. So one of the key things to do is to come back to breath. So if you don't know about box breathing, it's a great way of giving that biofeedback. So basically what we're doing is we're telling our system, our physical system, that it is okay and we can calm down. So we do that literally by holding. So imagine counting to 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. We're breathing in on the up breath. We're going to hold in along the top of the box, and then we're going to breathe out down the side of the box, and then hold out again. So all to the count of 4. And so it's in, hold, out, hold, in, hold, out, hold. It's such a good trick for anything, actually, but I certainly think, thinking about going into a group of individuals with these amygdalas firing, this is a fantastic way of calming down your system so that you go in and you can focus totally on them. And then the other thing to say about being yourself is also, just don't try to be anybody else. Facilitate like you facilitate. Don't try and facilitate like a colleague facilitates, because it just won't work. So that's the first one, is be yourself. Number 2, go with the flow. Now, you'll know this already if you have experience working with people with dementia. We have to go with the flow. So you may have the most amazing session that you've got planned, and you may find that it goes in a totally different direction. So rather than trying to completely pull it back continuously, go with the flow. Do some curiosity. Find out where you can go. Perhaps you can create a whole new session as you're going along. And I know some of you are going, oh my God, no way, I can't do that. You can, and it's okay to do it. It's okay to have a different session to the one that you plan, as long as we stick to those key core principles of CST. No reason why we shouldn't do that. So I think one of the things is to go with the flow, but also to keep the structure. So we keep the structure of the beginning and the end, and the middle part of the session. What we might want to do is bring in those boundaries in terms of time. So we might have to say, Mabel, I'm just going to have to speed us up a little bit, because we've only got sort of 15 minutes, and there's a few other things that we might want to cover. Now, they might not want to, and that's fine, but yes, those boundaries into time you're going to have to keep, otherwise you keep going for a whole day. So that is going with the flow. Think about no tasks really, no routine. So there might be something that you want to do. It might be a creative session. You might be creating, I'll pick something, a collage as an example. It's not about the end result. So it's not about having this lovely picture at the end of it that you can hold up and say, look what we made. It's actually about diving in and finding those pictures and talking about why we've chosen that particular picture and sticking that picture on and having a conversation. We might not finish it. In fact, in a normal CST session, 45 minutes, it's unlikely, isn't it? It's much more about getting into the flow of doing and not worrying about the end result. So that's your second one. So number one, just to recap, be yourself. Number two, go with the flow. And then finally, the last one is about being curious. Being curious and wanting to learn. So facilitators that tend to be that tend to go in with the confidence that they need, then go with the curiosity that they need. So rather than thinking about I must do this and I must get this bit in and I must find the right way to do this, actually just be in the moment and ask questions. So I always find that CST sessions can often be the best places for us to learn about others and about ourselves a little bit too. So be curious, ask questions. Oh wow, so how do you do that? Or how did you do that? Or, I wonder what that would have been like. Tell me about that. Be curious and genuinely curious as well. Don't ask questions if you're really not interested. Don't ask questions. People with dementia will totally know that you're not interested. Remember that those feelings are far more important and they can pick up on it like nothing else. So make sure you genuinely are curious about what you're asking about. You need to, in this job, be curious about humans and want to learn more about how people tick. So ask how. How does that happen, or how did that happen? Always be curious to learn. I wonder what that word means. I've never really thought about it before. Ponder on these things and find out together. It's great to do Google searches together on our phones and find out information so that we're learning together. So those are the three things that a confident facilitator does every single time. Be yourself. That's the biggest one. Turn up as yourself. Be authentic. Show your weaknesses. Don't be afraid to do that. To say, I've never done this before. I'm not quite sure how this is going to work. Don't be afraid to do it. Go with the flow, of course. Let's just go with whatever comes into the group. And finally, be curious and commit yourself to learn. So that's it. That is my live for today. So thank you ever so much for those who have come along. As again, if you haven't done so already, please pop in the comments box #live or #replay, depending on whether you're watching this live or whether it is a replay. And any questions, you know where I am. So just tag me in the group, otherwise I might not see it. So it's @LauraWalker. And you feel free to ask me a question. And the other thing to say is please come along to our Coffee Tuesdays, which are now once a month. And all of the details are on a post that I did yesterday. The next group is on the 20th of July, and I'd love to see you there. It's just before my annual leave, so it'd be really, really lovely to catch up with you all. And in that session, I will also be going over some potential opportunities for facilitators to work with us at Memory Matters to provide virtual cognitive stimulation therapy. So if you're interested in that, please let me or Shania know, and you can message Shania too. And that is the end of the live. So go and have lovely days. I will go and have lovely days. I'll have a lovely day today, and I will see you very, very soon. It'd be lovely to catch you on Coffee Tuesdays on the 20th. Bye bye.